Hey everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to talk about Venus in November because it's an important aspect of November's energy. We're going to do an all sign today for the transit. Yesterday we did a overview of the energy and I kind of explained the ins and outs of it. And today we're going to do the all sign part. Initially, I was going to make this a members only content, but after thinking about it, I was thinking of making it for like everyone. So let me know in the comments, especially if you're a member, if you're okay with allowing me to keep this public, then maybe we'll do that today. I think that might be a smart thing. I forgot one thing, the wheel, which is back there. There we go. So I want to tell you about Venus, but if you're not a member, I do want to do a quick overview of what we're dealing with, and then we're going to get right into the astrology. There's something going on with my computer where it's saying that it's 2 p.m., but everything else, like my phones and like the internet, is saying it's 3. So I'm guessing we have 2 hours to get this done. So I'm going to giddy up and do it. If somebody's on the West Coast and can tell me if this is 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., then please do so. Hi, everyone. So when we were speaking with members yesterday, I was talking about how you guys comment. I've been away. I've started posting a lot recently, and I'm trying this thing called like the short form version of the readings. People really like it. I like it. I think it makes these readings, these long ones, more concise. So if you like them, the only concern I have is burnout. So I'm worried that you guys are going to burn out with leaving comments. Comments and likes are very important for the growth of the content. So that's how I decide what I'm going to do. And so let me know how you feel about everything. I guess I'll see myself. But I want to encourage you guys to feel confident to comment on the videos. You're not doing something strange. It really actually helps the content a lot. And we have to be a little patient because I wasn't posting a lot for a long time. So it takes a little bit of patience. You're not posting too much. Comment, as much as you feel inclined to, but just know that sometimes people apologize, like, I'm leaving comments on so many videos. That's wonderful when you do that. So by all means, don't feel shy to comment. I don't think I can reply to everything. I think that's a bad thing if I reply to everything, which is not my normal character. I would normally want to reply to everything. So if I'm not replying to your comments, don't think that it's a personal thing. I think that it starts to look like spammy when I do that for some reason. The other thing is there are people who comment all emojis. When you're doing that, you're making your account look like spam. So it's not hurting my channel, but it's hurting your account. So I know when you're trying to like just, engage with the video and say hi without getting too heavy, if you comment like all emojis, it's not going to do anything anyway, and it might actually backfire on your account. So that's just some food for thought. So do please comment if you feel inclined to. Your engagement has been overwhelming and great. It's just, it takes a long time for everything to sort of pick back up again. So we have to be patient. So don't give up. Keep doing it. We're doing awesome. Engagement is really, really high. And so I'm really happy with, that you guys like it and that you're still here and into this stuff. So which kind of brings me to the energy of Venus in November. This is a bird's eye overview. As I said, I went through a detailed explanation yesterday with members. So in short, we had a really nice October as Venus was making really favorable aspects in the water signs, so Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. And you don't have to have these placements in order for that energy to be benefic for your positive for you. And the nature of that energy was really about relationships. They're in the water signs, so this is emotions and intuition. Communication was going well and things were improving. when November hits, or actually before November started, Venus entered Sagittarius. Venus in Sagittarius is very upbeat, very positive, very hopeful, very adventuresome. It's a very like wear your feelings on your sleeve, like show, it's a very kind of expressive energy. It's a happy-go-lucky energy, it has a good vibe. So we're coming off of this energy of October where everything around you was being very supportive to you, and especially relationships may have improved and things may have started to look up a little bit. And then Venus moves into Sag, which is also very optimistic. And what happens in November, is a big tense moment for Venus. So I'm not saying these things to be scary or to worry you, but know that November may take the wind out of your sails a little bit. So you need to prepare for it. The silver lining to that is that it's not going to last forever. And it's really November that's this way. And moving forward, the next 5 months is totally okay. So November, because of this transit and the alignment to the different planets, will look as though somebody's popped your balloon. So we're coming off of this very optimistic energy of October, even though things around us may have not been perfect. There has been an improvement in our relationships. Venus moves into optimistic Sagittarius, and then suddenly it's as if the whole world around her doesn't want her to shine. And so you may be in some way feeling the impact of this. And that's what we were talking about yesterday. So that's the short of it. I'm just going to tell you about some of the transits and how I feel this will play out. And then we'll get into the all sign. So what it is Venus is almost immediately forming harsh aspects. On October 28th, she formed a square to Saturn. So this happened before the new moon. Many of us did not feel this shift starting, but it happened in October 28th, so a few days ago. Today, Venus is forming an opposition to Jupiter, and this is the anti-Jupiter position. I think I talked about this in an in-depth video before, but this is considered actually an unlucky position as it's furthest away from Jupiter's orbit. So Jupiter is furthest away from this position now. It's not widely accepted in astrology, but I think it holds some weight here. So Venus opposite Jupiter is kind of suggesting that there may be like the opposite of what you want happening here. And so what I see this as, when Venus formed the square to Saturn, you put yourself out there in an emotional situation, in a relationship, or put your work out there or something like that. And Saturn, which is the lay of the land, the structure, said, no way, you got to stop right there. So your optimism got kind of stopped in its tracks. Some of it may have happened behind the scenes. You may have not felt this. And at this opposition that we have on November 3rd, you may be actually feeling this for the first time. So suddenly you start, really feeling the people around you, the circumstances around you may not be sharing your enthusiasm, okay? So there could be this feeling of wind being taken out of your sails. And so this opposition, in some way, optimistic Venus suddenly feels as though she needs to put her foot down, needs to defend herself. You're coming off of an energy in which your emotional environment with other people was supportive of you. So you, even November 3rd, feel a little bit confident, right? So you step into this energy with this confidence, thinking that people have your back, thinking that things are going well, that you're well received, and boom, you have this opposition to Jupiter. And what this could possibly be is people compensating. So you you hit a wall with Saturn. Saturn says, no way, you got to stop in your tracks. Venus in Sagittarius could be, I'm going to try anyway and instead, and that can be a misstep because it's at the anti-Jupiter position. So it might be, you may be prone, or other people may be prone to take steps in a direction that aren't actually good for you. So be very careful. If you've been denied something and like you've been trying to make something happen or socially or something like that, do not put the effort in to try to compensate for it or overpower the energy. I think that that's kind of the domino effect that can lead people into problems. So I'm not saying here that, I'm not saying we're doomed, but I think that there's a strategy here that can lead us to success. And we just need to stay away from the problem. Okay, so we need to sort of navigate away from the issue. We need to navigate from trying to overpower it. And I see this energy from October leading into November as sort of working on our egos and prompting us to want to try to overpower it. So don't overpower it, stand your ground. Also, we have a trine to Chiron, and that Chiron creates a sextile to Jupiter. So there's a lot of like compensation, like overcompensating for things going on here, which I think that can lead to a lot of disillusion. It can lead to problems more into November. So there is this like the outer planets represent the world around us, like the social world and the world of us together as a group. And so something about it suddenly becomes not so forthcoming. Suddenly it's not so supportive. And we're coming off of a month in October where it was supportive, and you need to be aware of that. So as we head more into November, you're going to start feeling these squares and these oppositions, like things are not going your way. And we talked about this in the members only deep dive. It's called a read the room because I read some messages for everyone yesterday. And so you get this big no. So you suddenly start feeling as though things are not working and people are not as friendly and warm as they were in October, but that's okay. On November 22nd, Saturn will form a sextile to Venus. Venus enters Capricorn on November 11th, and that's going to be your secret ticket to success. So the sextile between Saturn and Venus on November, 22nd, is actually something that's working behind the scenes to help this situation out. So you feel like you're getting a big no from life, but Saturn is actually working in your favor and fine-tuning circumstances so that you can move forward. So behind the scenes, something is working out. On the surface, it will feel like it's not. The final set of transits happen at the end of November, so after Saturn sextiles Venus, and we have a bunch of aspects to Chiron and Lilith. So there's an opposition from Lilith to Chiron, which will T-square Venus in Capricorn on November 25th and the 28th. What this looks like to me is, in this context of being denied something that you wanted, there's going to be some mean energy at the end of November. Sort of put salt on your wounds. Somebody's picking on you. Somebody saw that like you had some string of bad luck and they're trying to make it worse. They're being bullies, Lilith energy. And Chiron is your vulnerability. So be very careful, because remember, by November 22nd, things are going your way. Saturn is changing the dynamic in your favor. In that last week of November, something's going to show up that's going to feel as though it isn't, and maybe you are not even fully aware of that yet, that the positive change. So you may experience a situation where someone says something to you or does something that's disparaging or mean or whatever. But at the end of November and moving forward 5 months, we're looking at good aspects to Venus again, a relatively good. Most of them will be fairly positive or improving. So November is kind of a mind game for Venus, which governs our emotions. And it's important for us to keep that in mind. So don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed by the energy. Don't allow yourself to be discouraged by temporary setbacks. It will feel a little bit cold or estranged at times, but don't lean into that. Keep on your goals. Keep yourself sort of emotionally separate. Don't allow yourself to be confounded by these energies. And I just wanted to mention that on the 26th of November, we get Mercury retrograde also in Sagittarius, which will also oppose Jupiter 3 times. So some of these things are going to play out and work themselves out through communications between November 26th and December 15th. So we have this real kind of like domino effect, one thing leading into another and changing the circumstances as they are. Where I see a problem for people is this warm, fuzzy feeling that some of us entered November with, and then having like a big dose of reality or harsh version of reality, or maybe some pushback on some things where you felt safe, right? You felt safe coming out of October. And then also Venus in Sagittarius is an optimistic one. And this is very much the energy of someone being contrarian to that, trying to like take away from that feeling. So don't allow yourself to be suppressed, and know that the energy ends at the end of November. I can see people falling into discouragement when they experience these things in November. And if they don't know that by December, the energy is more forthcoming and more positive, they can feel like, oh no, more of the same, bad times coming back, but they're not. They're not coming back. And you just need to work your way through November. Also, as you're dealing with November's energies, be mindful. Like if somebody is throwing you shade at the end of November with Lilith and Chiron, if somebody's being mean or petty, then just keep in mind, like this is the energy right now. It's informative in the sense that what I think is a good approach is to step away from it, get away from it, take care of yourself. Don't let them get in your head. And, by December, things will start looking much better. So that's kind of the overview of the astrology. We went into much more detail yesterday, but just if it's starting to feel like a little bit drab, the thing about it that I think that is really intense for people is this kind of like build up hope in October with this grand water trine. And then we get the squares and the oppositions and like boom, boom, boom. No, you're denied, you're denied, you're denied. But that's in the larger context. And I do feel like Saturn ends up being the saving grace come November 22nd. I do think people will not see it though. So whatever circumstance starts turning in your favor, I don't think you're going to see it until maybe later. So it feels as though it's kind of behind the scenes, or it's almost like at work, somebody gives you a good recommendation. You don't yet know that they've given you a good recommendation until some time has passed. Saturn's something like that. Something starts working in your favor. And also keep your cheer up, Venus in Sagittarius is a beautiful transit. Keep your cheer up. Maybe don't wear your feelings on your sleeve. Don't wear your heart on your sleeve so much. But be a little guarded. I know this is the energy. You come into November like a little bit warmed up and feeling a little bit more optimistic. And this energy is not very encouraging. And that can be like a big letdown. It's easy if you have low courage coming into November, then emotional feelings, right? You could feel like, oh, more of the same. But if you're like up here and you're vibing and like maybe you made up with a friend or something else positive, emotional happened, you could be optimistic and flying high, and then November comes and, shuts the door in your face. So just be a little wary. Okay. So I want to do an all sign with you guys. My computer was saying like an hour before it is now. So we have time, but it's going to get dark now at 5. We're in the dark part of the year. We had daylight savings time. So I'll check comments to see, did somebody tell me what time it is? I have 2:20 on my, it's 3, right? I think so. I thought so too. It's 3. Okay, so if you guys are cool with it, we're going to do the all sign. We'll keep it public, and then we'll do another dedicated all sign for members later, because you just got a video last night. Okay, because I felt like this was like, I'm here to tell you the strategy, not to be pessimistic, but like, I do think that like it's a energy that's fairly easy to navigate, and it's fairly temporary, right? Like it's not going to last. November's going to make you feel whatever. We're going to go through that. Okay, so first we start with Aquarius. So November's huge for Aquarius. Of course, everybody knows why. Pluto is entering Aquarius on November 19th. Okay, but when we're looking at Venus here, in opposition to Jupiter, this could, you know what this feels like? This feels like success at work, and then certain people are not so happy about it around you. And so this could feel as though there's a lot of things going your way, Aquarius, and then suddenly like certain, I get this vibe, we're going to repeat this theme a lot today, but it does really feel as though you're optimistic about work. You're looking, you know, you got some kind of gain. Maybe you networked really well at work and there was some kind of movement with circumstances there. And then Venus starts to form these squares, and it's kind of like playing with your head, and there could be mean-spirited energy here, especially at the end of the month. So the whole month kind of takes the wind out of our sails, and that Chiron Lilith T-square, it almost makes people, I think it feels like people seeing that happen to you and then taking the opportunity to be mean. So there's a really, you know, weird vibe about November that way. So just guard your emotions, guard your heart, you know. It's not a bad month. It's just a little touchy, and we'll go through why, you know. This is just one of the observations. So we have Queen of Wands, and I'm going to pull cards first. So we have there's the Queen of Wands, Venus, and the Tower, the ego. Let's not read it as the ego, it's the Tower. But you have personal strength and force. This, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's people around you, Aquarius, that are not as happy for you as you would be happy for them. Maybe your success, maybe you've been on the low for a while and your success is now like they have to deal with it in some way. So maybe they're not super comfortable. Maybe the truth is kind of showing up for you, like in their true intentions, their true feelings about you are showing up. So it was fine when you were quiet, right? Because you weren't bothering anyone. But the moment that you open your mouth, that you have an opinion, there could be like other people having feelings about the fact that you're living your life, you know? This happens. The other thing that I'm seeing is some degree of pressure on financial issues. So throughout November, you could start getting nervous about finances, like how will this play out? But remember, there's something happening, especially third week of November, in which is very favorable for you financially, and it's likely something quiet. It's not something that is like widely known. So you may have an opportunity in a new direction. There may be some kind of shift. Mars is also moving into your 7th house. So I do see with Jupiter and Mars in key positions in your chart, I do see people, this is Leo where Mars is, people being your champion, be it your partner, your friends, someone, the people who matter are really stepping up for you in an emotional, they got your back, and it's going to be different for every person. Okay, so just hold on tight, know who your friends are, that whole sort of thing. Okay, so here is the next sign. We have the Scorpio. These cards have different associations, so I read the Emperor, but it's Scorpio next. So okay, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So hey, Scorpio. So, okay. I'm going to pull tarot cards. Right away, it feels as though there's like financial opportunities, but you're not sure about them. And it's almost like you want to like huddle in and pull in and hide financially from those opportunities. I think you should wait financially with things. Sometimes I'm like less direct than I should be. So I think you should wait with making financial decisions. There's a balance between sharing and protecting your own resources. I think you should wait and see. Not because of these aspects. I think there's a situation that's still developing. We have 4 of Wands. We have the 5 of Wands. And then we have the 6 of Hearts, which is Sun in Scorpio. Happy birthday, you guys. We're still in Scorpio season. So, okay. So 4 of Stars, 5 of Stars. Listen, some of you are experiencing tensions at home. So this could be like where you live or like roommates, things like that. There could be an increase of tension, but there's like a reminder, like let's say you moved in with your friend and it's like a roommate situation. There's this energy of, there's been some stress going on, but there's this energy of also recognizing that like they were a nice person or they are a nice person. So it seems as though your happy and quaint home has been disrupted temporarily, but I do feel as though you're coming to terms with the fact that there is a bond there. There is a connection that's positive for you. So there is this kind of like a positive reflection on things. So things are not going straight down the drain for you. I do feel as though with Venus in your second house, I think that you have the, I don't want to call you stingy because it's not a character trait, but there could be a attempt to try to protect your money from potential threats that you're seeing, and that protective step could be actually taking you in the wrong direction ultimately. So don't allow circumstances that are happening around you to chase you into a path that's not financially good for you. So as a reaction, like making quick decisions or making bad decisions with money in order to be protective of it, that could lead you to make some bad commitments financially. So be very careful with being reactive. And I think everybody needs to kind of hear. You're going through a big transition in November, and around the same time as Saturn and Venus form a positive angle, Pluto will be going over your IC. Not everyone has this experience in a lifetime. When it does, it's huge. And a lot of the things that you're going through really hit home. They really hit to your early childhood, personal development. And so there is this everything may feel very overwhelming for you through November, especially when things are not going your way. And it could feel like it's referring back to early childhood experiences, but it's not, and it's temporary. And at the end of the month, when we have that T-square with Lilith and with Chiron, really try. There could be a level of backhandedness or somebody scheming behind your back, and there could be a level of that kind of interaction. So be very careful with your heart, Scorpio. Be very careful with, putting yourself out there. You should put yourself out there. Mars is at the top of your chart and is going to retrograde through that period. But in the sense of, it feels like maybe be more careful with people you already know, or relationships. Be careful with like being received, but in terms of your ambition and in terms of like, I want to achieve XYZ, having that in your mindset, you should be going for it. You should be, ambitious and trying really hard and trying to achieve things and, and seek out things. Get in touch with what really matters. I sense an anxiousness for Scorpio. I sense like anxiousness, because I think you feel that there's something around you that's not necessarily adding up. You sense the false friend, you sense the deception, and so be very guarded with people at this time. And by the end of November, and definitely by Mercury retrograde, you're going to have more information. So your instincts are right. If you're feeling uncomfortable, somebody's disposition towards you changed, but don't overly react. Be more passive, listen, and try to gather more information. But you should not be held back by these situations in terms of reaching for the goals that you want for yourself. Let's see the next message. We have Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, Libras, let's take a look at your chart. So, hey Libra, so you have Lilith in your first house. That's going to be very important for the end of the month, but maybe we should start there. So Venus is in your, going over your IC as well, but she is in your third house, entering your fourth house. Listen, things around the home are going to build throughout November, specifically with relationships. If you're in a difficult relationship, or a relationship that's trying or testing you, or is otherwise difficult for you to manage, be very cautious with how you approach that relationship around the home. And this is going to become more important when Venus enters Capricorn on November 11th. Right now it's maybe more behind the scenes, and then it becomes more central. You could be misinterpreted throughout the whole month, and animosity may grow. So there could be tension with people around you, in the home, around the home, a best friend, a partner, and even in your career. So people who you're around a lot. So really manage those relationships well. In astrology, it's not just you that's experiencing the astrology, it's all of us. And so that's really helpful to think about when there are certain transits going on, because you're not only thinking about your experience, but the fact that other people are reacting to this as well. And not everybody reacts to things well, right? Some people react to things in like a unhealthy way. So just be mindful of this energy. I think that you've been on a growth spurt in terms of your career, Libra. There's been a lot of progress, and there's something to do with that progress that is coming full circle, but it's going to play out right until 2025. I think that at this time, it's good for you to branch out and make new friends, make new connections. I think you should see what is untreaded territory. In other words, I'm not suggesting that you should break up with your partner or something like this. Things have ups and downs. But with this chart, what I would suggest for Libra is take a more of a passive stance in the relationships that are established in your life, those close ones, and be more assertive in scouting out new territory in terms of friends. So the people around you may not be giving you the energy that you want or need, but this is a really good time for you to connect with other people, just seek out other opportunities and put yourself out there. This is also a wonderful time for you to focus on money and focus on work. So you may want to apply yourself to that effect also. Let's pull some cards. So we have the Sun. Yeah, don't let people near you dampen your optimism. And then we have the Two of Angels. This is the Moon in Libra. And then we have the Eight of Wands. This is Mercury in Sagittarius. And Mercury's going to turn retrograde in Sagittarius. When there's things that are near and dear you, things that are close to home, that are going to get a revamp. And I think it's showing up in your life this way because there's some things that need adjustment that are near you, physically near you, close to you in your build. There's some things that need to be adjusted, some friendships, some relationships. Maybe a conversation is needed when Mercury is retrograde from November 26th to December 15th. So there is something that needs to be, maybe a perspective needs to be changed. And so that's happening. But I do think that you need to scout out new territory. I do think you're well received in these new places, and work continues to be very strong for you right until next year. So, I sense as though like you may be experiencing a degree of disappointment of someone who you're around a lot, like your boss is not being very grateful, or maybe they're more critical, or maybe your partner is just irritable right now and busy. It doesn't mean that it's the end of the relationship. It just means don't focus on those things right now and focus on other possibilities, right? Other, like, scout out new opportunities, make a new friend, talk to a new person at the office, whatever it is. The next energy is Capricorn. Let's take a look at your messages. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay. So for you, Venus is entering Capricorn. This is going to be positive. So you are particularly prone to feel out of sorts in this energy. Feel like people are ganging up against you, that there's this feeling or experience of feeling othered or sort of disconnected from what you truly want. When Venus enters Capricorn on November 11th, that's next week. It's going to build this week, and by the end of this week, it's going to be the most intense. And then when Venus enters Capricorn, it's kind of like the consequence of the things we're experiencing now through our feelings. And for you, that's going to be much more constructive. We're all going to experience the consequences because Venus still has some harsh angles in Capricorn to form. Specifically, I think those angles at the end of the month are probably the most unkind energy. But it is, things are shifting in your favor, Capricorn. And so when Venus enters your first house, that's a very favorable thing. So for you, a lot of things are happening behind the surface, behind the curtain, like they're not super clear. We have the Tower, Seven of, so this is like, it just feels like somebody's siphoning energy from you. Somebody's trying to take something away. We have okay. And I do think that people are going to rise up to your defense. So this really feels as though we have Seven of Swords and the Tower and the Two of Cups. So it feels as though there is, and Lilith is up here in your chart. There could definitely be someone taking credit for your work, or some kind of manipulation going on. There could be some kind of thing that's, that you find out because it's in the 12th house, like unexpected, boom, this happened. And but there's this Two of Cups, which to me signifies that there are friends. You have very strong placements, especially Mars and the Sun, for trust and loyalty right now. So, and even Pluto, like Pluto in this position is opposite Mars. So you could be feeling like a partner's testing you and you're trying to assert yourself, but they're not really having it. But still at the same time, there's loyalty. You have pretty strong loyalty here in this energy. And amid all this, where I think the disloyalty is in your acquaintances. So in your colleagues at work, or people you don't know really well, people who could be jealous of you, hold resentment, not someone who's really close to you at all. And I feel as though you could be they could be trying to cause some kind of chaos around you. But the Two of Cups to me signifies that someone's really got even Uranus in the 5th house. Uranus in the 5th house, and I know this transit is ending next year, but it's still important to bring in mind. It's very much an energy of, like, Uranus kind of like sees the other side of it. The friend that like something is going on and nobody understands, and Uranus kind of like is your weird friend that sees your point of view. Like they're very clever at looking through like the dominant narratives and like through that sees. So you have a really strong chart right now for having people have your back. You have a very strong chart for loyalty, trust, and in all these situations. So I do think as though I do think that you're going to have some degree of stress going on because some of it is hidden behind the scenes, but I think it's mischievous, and I think it's not able to be as domineering. Like, it's not able to in some way overwhelm the overwhelmingly positive dynamic. And if someone says something to your friend, they'll be like, no, Capricorn's not that way. So you will have people defending you. Whatever this energy is, it's coming straight down. Whatever this kind of whatever the energy is that's trying to take away from you, it's not going to last. And I do think that there are people out there that are going to shut it down very fast. They don't like hearing. I'm getting the fact that they don't like hearing it. They don't like the double dealing. They're people like you. You have people around you that are of your quality. They don't like BS. They don't like drama, and they shut it down quickly. Here is the next energy. We have Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's take a look at your chart. See, I like this short video content because usually I would have to explain a lot more content for you guys. That's why my videos got so long, because I wasn't posting so much, so I had like so many little tangents to tell you about in context. But we can revisit these little tangents separately, and now we can just get to the point. I'm just looking at the time. It's 40 minutes. Usually I'm finishing the astrology at this point, so I think it's good. Let me know in the comments how you feel about that. Okay, so we have Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I do feel as though you may be getting pressured by someone towards a decision that's not ultimately good for you. I'm not saying that this person is a bad person, but there could be some kind of peer pressure. And I think it may be in the context of certain things happening around you for a longer period of time that feel or look uncomfortable. Like they feel there could be things happening in your general environment that make you feel as though things are not working out as they should. Like there's problems that you have to deal with. You may be feeling as though like, how do I deal with all this stuff in general? And on the heels of that, I would be very skeptical to trust your partner right now and their ideas and the things they're suggesting. And I'm not saying that they're doing it for malicious reasons. I just think that they may be giving you some bad advice or sending you down a rabbit hole like that you should. And you're feeling vulnerable with the Saturn in the 10th house. And it may be getting in your head at this point because it's been there since the beginning of last year. So you may be having this worldview or experience that, you know, things are not working out or things are difficult and you don't know what the solution is. So you might be overwhelmed by that perception. And so your partner could be coming up with a genius idea. And I don't think it's genius. That was a joke. But I think that something will work out for you in terms of your career. I think something will work out in terms of your work. Around November 22nd, things will become much more positive. It might involve a change. It might involve you deciding to change something or another opportunity coming up in terms of work or career. But it may not show up for you until December or after that because it may be hidden in November. Okay, so here's your tarot cards. Okay. But overall, you're lucky. I mean, Jupiter is retrograde, but it's still in your first house. So don't worry. I'm troubleshooting here. Okay, so we have the Force, the Strength card. And then we have the Awakening, which is the last. See, I'm getting this feeling that you're going to make a big call on something, put an end to something. And then you have some delay before it plays out. So you got 3 trumps, which suggests that you're dealing with things. Some things need to play out on their own without your intervention, or some things already have been initiated and you just need to wait until they come full circle. I think you make a critical decision with regard to this. Maybe it's before November 19th when Pluto leaves your 8th house. Some of this does involve like decisions for an ending or decisions to put something behind you, but it's not necessary for you to do that. Ultimately, there's this big initiation of energy or power that leads to a somewhat static period, a period in which you have to wait for something to come about. Now, here's something that I'm seeing for you at the end of the month. So this is when Mercury's retrograde. This is after Saturn aspects Venus in a positive way. At the end of November, I could see for you friends, frenemies, or a partner, not a partner, but more of a boyfriend, girlfriend type energy if you're dating someone, or children, because children can be mean. There could be an energy around you that is in some way like being mean about what you're going through. So, but be very careful, because the negative energy onto Venus, or the hard angles on Venus, are ending at like just a day after. So I would not lean into it. If somebody's saying something, or if you're waiting for an answer on, maybe you put yourself out there with something and you're waiting for an answer and there's delays, especially at work. So maybe you applied for a job, or you decided to change a job and things are not coming your way as fast as you would like them to. Take your time. There may be this is called the turnaround. So sometimes like a 180-degree transformation takes a little bit longer. So I do think that there's like something's reached a point where you have to make a decision, or you feel you must make a decision, but there's still some delays. And astrologically speaking, we're just talking about Venus here, but Mercury has a very long transit in Sagittarius this winter, and Mars is forming all these like 3-part aspects to all of the outer planets. It's just the alignment of the planets right now. It's very like climax of everything that's been going on, alongside Pluto switching signs, of course. So there is this kind of like initiating a lot of energy, making a lot of change, and then waiting for the outcome, or there may be some waiting involved to see the other side of it. Okay, so let's see the next sign. Okay. I saw the last card, so I'm shuffling extra to lose track of where's what. Okay, so next we have Cancer. Cancer's in the home stretch of a 16-year long marathon. Okay, so Cancer, let's see. There's Cancer. Hey, Cancer, let's do the tarot. I keep doing the astrology. I like the tarot cards on the table while I'm doing the astrology. So we have the universe, which is the world, which is fitting for your packed 9th and 10th house. That's the world abroad. And then we have the retreat, which is the hermit. I'm getting lots of hermit energy for everyone. And I think that ultimately, in part, that's kind of the answer this month. Be very cautious with how much you give people power to make comments about you. This is true for any sign. And then we have Queen of Wands. Well, that means as though a personal retreat for some Cancers. You know, Saturn in the 9th house is not like a travel time, but I could see like a long distance travel for a retreat and a massive glow up. So going somewhere by yourself and I remember I have a friend who went away suddenly. She went through a massive loss, and we didn't know that yet, or I didn't know that. And then she came back like weeks later, and she had gone to an ashram, and it was one of those ones where an ashram is like a place people go for a silent retreat, and it's kind of like a way to just if you're having problems, and there's a lot of them that do exchange. So you work, and in exchange you get to stay there and eat, and it's kind of like a stripping down of sorts. And so she came back, and she had gone through something, so she was still really upset, but the outcome of that was like she had glowed up. So it wasn't necessarily physical, right? She was beautiful, but or she is beautiful, but like, but that wasn't the point. And so when I see this, I see that kind of combination. So not everybody can run away, to an ashram, not run away, but go to an ashram and all of this. But in this energy, you could be pulling away to do some self-work, Cancer, and then transforming, your energy to what you truly want. This is very hopeful because the North Node is at the top of your chart and Chiron is here. And so what I will say, for those of you who are going to be where you are, there could be some of you could be facing hostilities at work. This is because some of you are experiencing very positive dynamics in your relationship sector. And people, like piranhas, can smell blood. And they can sense your happiness. They can sense your joy. That was my stomach gurgling. Sorry. They can sense your happiness. They can sense your joy and try to dampen it. That energy really shows up at the end of the month for you. And you've had this pattern of, I think many Cancers are dealing with like not nice environment, like lack of respect at work, lack of recognition at work. It's all there showing up again and again. So I think more of that. That doesn't mean that you're going to suffer. It doesn't mean that it's just showing up again. And remember, in the grand scheme of November, you should look past it and not engage. And you should definitely move past it because there's good things coming after. It's almost like something good happens November 22nd and then the piranhas show up and they try to, level you. But then by December, things are looking up again in a positive light. And then in the seventh house is where Venus will be by then. And to me, this suggests that there's something around you that's really good and a dynamic that's really good, something that you feel really good about. And people who have negative feelings or intentions towards you anyway, not close people to you, just people in your environment, may feel threatened by that, right? So they'll show up. Your strength is a trigger for people who don't like you. They, especially depending on the circumstances, but something like that. So I see you sort of pulling away and finding your light and finding your joy, and that can be a trigger in your environment. So overall, I think your energy is to pull away. You pull away, and despite pulling away, it's like hypnotizing energy. It's an energy that covets you and is, and is kind of like desirous of you, but not in a positive way. This is very manipulative, or this is maybe not manipulative, but this is predatory, right? That it's a jealousy type of thing. So to some degree, it doesn't have to be dramatic or extreme, but I do sense that a lot. You focus on you, and this will serve you well. And when you do, you may have negative feedback from your environment because those people that are not very nice are showing up to heckle you, or haters. But I think you should still stay your course and stay light and bright, and don't allow that heckling to get to you. Let's see what Saturn is doing something for you. It could involve communication. For those of you who are in a weird situation at work, this could actually be someone preparing recommendations. So someone, either they're writing a recommendation or they're getting in the mindset of that they're seeing what's happening, and maybe silently they're like, I'll give them a reference if they need to go. And this is a good recommendation. This is a good segue into something else. Someone with power is stepping up, There's something happening that's in your favor so just keep glowing and keep doubling down on the positive energy that you have here, it lifts you up and beyond the circumstances that you're up against. Okay. So it's a very nice, it really looks for you, and normal people talk, that you've glowed up and you've done well by yourself. And those dynamics around you outside of your control keep on putting pressure on you. And it's like, what gives? We're like, lay off, man, kind of energy. But it's a predatory energy, and this isn't your friends. This isn't people you know. This is people who are, how do I say this? Either at work or some kind of proximity to you, but you don't know them. And so, but it's all coming out of your strength. So you double down on your strength, and it's a trigger for them. That's what's coming up. But and that can feel very overwhelming. That's that Pluto energy, eh? No matter what I do, this circumstance is going to try to push me down. But you keep glowing through November, and it's going to get much easier in December, and something is coming your way. This reminds me, this is for everyone. I forgot to mention this when we did the astrology, because this brought, of course, Venus is always governing women's issues, right? So something did come up that I want to voice or talk about just briefly. So in Iran, there's been a lot of internal discord about like power dynamics, and especially women's rights. And this woman stripped down to her undergarments in a public space. She was arrested, and her fate is now unknown. And so this was a young woman. And to me, the symbolism, it's heartbreaking. It's a tragedy. And I'm so sad for that whole circumstance. Overall, I do understand why people try to do that to raise awareness, but people like Navalny in Russia, and her, and the people who self-immolated, although their actions are altruistic and heroic, I do feel as though I wish that they were still here with us, because we need strong people like that. So a person putting themselves in the line of danger to make a statement, I'm not sure whether it's, I don't want to say it's not helpful, because she's put herself in danger, but I wish that they wouldn't do that, because not for their sake, because I do believe strong people like that are best served when they are here with us, and when they are not, suffering the consequences of such drastic actions. But to me, this symbolizes the dynamic of Pluto and Mars, but also Venus and Jupiter, right? The oppositions. And so this energy, it's one of the saddest. I'm not going to talk about it on any other social media, but I just want to acknowledge that this dynamic did happen, and it's such a tragedy that this is happening to people around the world, and that people feel they have to resort to such actions. It's really unfortunate. And before Pluto changes signs, and before this is the last opposition, right? The Mars-Pluto opposition. It's the last planetary aspect to Pluto. I think it's important to recognize that no one should be pushed to that drastic level of having to react to any power that is abusing people, right? So this is just, I feel it's politically necessary to acknowledge this. I'm completely overwhelmed with emotion about it, so I'm not going to keep talking about it, but it's just terrible, and we all have to keep aware of the fact we cannot let those things happen. And that's the call to action by those actions, that we are heading down a road that leads to people resorting to those kinds of behaviors. And we have to do everything to protect people from feeling they have to do that, right? So when those things are happening around us that are causing those things, causing people to do those things as a last-ditch effort for safety or salvation, we have to ensure that no more people have to make those decisions. And in that is the true heroism of what they did. I'm not trying to put it down, but I am trying to suggest that it's a massive alarm and we need to pay attention to them and not just say, oh, too bad this happened, and then carry on. These are very, very important moments and they shouldn't happen. Okay? So that's Venus energy as well. And I do think that I'm on topic because I do think it in some way encapsulates Venus in November. It's a very dark event. There was also an event with a squirrel, right? And I'm not going to get into it here. But these kinds of things cannot happen, and we have to all make it a priority to not allow them to happen. Okay. Sorry for being political. Okay, so here is next message. I just noticed it got a little darker. I think it's the clouds, but it is 4 o'clock. We're an hour away from sunset. I'm doing my best, guys. Next is Aries. Okay. All right. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Let's pick some tarot cards. I was meaning to talk about it earlier, but it was very, very tragic. Okay. So we have Queen of Hearts, and I don't think anybody, I think I'm also saying those are extreme events, but in your life when Venus is under these sorts of pressures, do not be a hero, right? Protect yourself and look to the future, and don't sacrifice yourself for like, just look beyond these intense angles. So we have Queen of Hearts, Queen of Cups, and then we have the Three of Trees, Three of Wands. And then we have the Five of Hearts. Okay, so that's Aries. I think Aries is telling someone something. Let's look at your chart. I'll say this, my first impression. Aries is telling someone something straight from the heart. They're telling a friend something about their experience. There's a degree, they're sharing with them some dissolution, or someone's sharing it with you. But I do feel as though there's this sharing energy here, telling someone how you feel, telling someone how you feel about, it's telling the secret for the first time to someone, telling someone about your life for the first time. Okay. And there's this, the Five of Cups is the recognition. By telling someone else, you recognize that this is a problem and you're trying to make a bond with someone. Try to choose your timing with that, Aries. So in a reaction to things that happen, be careful of when you say it and how you say it, so as not to trap you, and be careful of who you say it to. I think that the woman is the right person that you should say it to. I would be very cautious for Aries if you're thinking of telling a man, or in a knee-jerk reaction to something, telling a man. I think that could be something that will have some consequences for you. So a situation happens that you're dissatisfied with, right? Or you're worried about, and you go and tell someone. I think that the woman is the better choice. And I'm not saying this forever. I'm just saying regarding at this time with regard to this situation. Okay. So, but in terms of the astrology, Aries, let's see. So your chart has, as usual, it has more to do with the general message. And so I will reiterate a little bit here. I do feel as though there's a reactionary energy around you here, which means that certain things may be happening. And as a response, as a way to compensate for what's happening, you take a chance or you take a risk and you put yourself in harm's way. But not necessarily harm's way, just bad luck. So you do something that people under stress make bad decisions. And so what I see in this energy is the chance of making a bad decision or making a bad decision under duress. And so try really hard not to do so. So if you feel the urge to make a decision to do that, then no. For some Aries, you are dealing with people around you that are affecting your success in your public life. Critical, or possibly even manipulative people that are distracting you, that are causing you some kind of a interruption to what would naturally flow for you really well. So it's very important for you at this time to guard yourself against other people's behavior. And so what some of this could be is not like an intentional tearing you down, but more someone who is they have a bad mindset, or they have bad behaviors, or their perspective on the world is negative, and it's rubbing off on you and it's holding you back. The other thing that I'm picking up on is somebody who's very chaotic and somebody who is constantly like in a state of fight or flight, or maybe they have their own issues and that's negatively affecting you, Aries. So be wary of that kind of energy from someone else. So somebody's stressed out, it's rubbing off on you, and then it's affecting your career or your public life in some way, and you should be very cautious with regard to that. I do think that some of you are making headway at home, and so overall there's a recurring theme here of things around the house. So rather than focusing on your relationship with someone at this time, I think your focus should be, what are you doing at work? What are you doing in your public life? And then for the more creative side, what are you doing around the house? Are you decorating or redecorating? Are you changing things up? You guys, it's gotten really dark. I'm not stopping the reading. I'm just going to quickly adjust the brightness, because it's just the clouds. So one thing I'll tell you guys about my issue with light. So I was switching the brightness levels with a different tool than I actually used to. And I couldn't figure out, like, why is it so fickle and all of this stuff? Well, it's because I was reusing the wrong tool, and I recently figured out that it's the wrong one. So I switched some things up, so it's completely my fault. So all this time I've been, struggling with this light issue. It's because I was adjusting the light with the wrong thing. Sorry. Okay, shoot. Hold on. Yes. Okay. So next sign, we're going to go back to the chart. So next is Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so let's see what's up for Sag. Sag, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay. Hey, Sagittarius. So you have a lot of transits hitting your first house. I'm not really highlighting you in the videos, even though you're the one who's in the hot seat as these transits happen. I think for you, it's going to be generally favorable in a context in which you have been under certain degrees of pressure from all of these transits throughout the whole year for the last 6 months. And so these transits, that Mercury and Venus that are in Sagittarius in November and December, in some way they're favorable for you because they're breaking up the dynamics that you've been under. So people have been testing you, home has been unstable, like friends not being real friendly, in some way, a really good pattern with someone that you love a lot or have a deep connection with, but them being maybe not unstable, but there's something chaotic that's coming from them to you. Wow. So you've been under a lot of consistent low level pressure, you know, like a low hum. Okay, so let's see your cards. And so when Venus is going through this, a lot's going to come out on the surface for you. A lot's going to be said. There could be some degree of confrontation. Don't push your partner for an answer. That's pretty clear. You may want to wait. If you're wanting your partner to give you an answer on something, you may want to wait with that. Especially just let it go and let Mercury retrograde kind of work its magic. Then we have Libra. And then we have the Eight of Swords. And then we have the Knight of Hearts. So if you're dealing with your partner's coming up really strong, this is really helpful. In my opinion, they're going to, at the end of everything, like the whole dynamic back and forth, they're going to come to you with something nice. I feel as though you feel the urgency to want to ask them to have, like, put some information out there. You want them to disclose, or you want them to like agree to something. You feel the urge to really want to get them to clarify their position with respect to you. And I think that that's overwhelming for you at this time. You feel, and it's overwhelming because so many different planets or transits are in positions in your chart where you're experiencing external pressure from other things, and you want the person who's on your side to control something, right? It's not a bad thing about your character. It's just you just want one thing to work, right? You just want that one thing, like, everybody's being so hard on me. Overall, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can you just please provide me with clarity? The person that you love, or the person that loves you, or the person who shouldn't be adding to that dynamic. So you just want one thing to be clear. But I think it's really helpful for you to not press for that immediately. And I think that they will come through for you with that kindness. And I think that when Mercury turns retrograde between November 26th and December 15th, indirectly through your communication, there will be things that you say that will inspire them. So rather than directly asking them to, I think that indirectly they will see you go through things and say, oh, I really need to step up. So it's not really about something that you can do in this situation. It's more about someone giving of their free will, their own intention. Right now, it's a frustrating, I think that 12th house transit, sun, moon, Venus, Mars, they all have a level of complexity to them. And it's a real kind of like full circle moment. And some of that can feel like you just want it to stop. So the sun enters Sagittarius soon in November, and that's going to feel really good. So you're in that phase where you may be more introspective, or you may be focusing on the last year a bit more, or there could be some energy around you that feels as though you just want the current circumstances to come to an end and to be over. So your timeline for that is 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks' time, the sun moves into Sag, and there's a lot of brightening and lightening of circumstances. So if you're I could see Sag very irritable because of provocation from many different angles. And you need to really work hard in November to not succumb to the mind games that you're experiencing. Not necessarily that someone is actively playing mind games. It's just the dynamic is creating a tense atmosphere for you to deal with. And so it's really good for you to keep your distance from everything that's triggering, that's upsetting to you. I do feel like you need to be very careful around friends at this time. Not real friends, but frenemies. People who are disingenuous towards you, are not very genuinely nice. Okay, that I think that they could make you feel a whole lot worse if you open yourself up to them. So this is a time to mind your boundaries in terms of letting people in. Okay, so next sign is Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising. I hope you guys are liking this. I like this video, and I'm glad we're going to hopefully keep it open for everyone. We're going to do another members only. I just thought it was like a good topic, and it's like, I think it's valuable information. This is nice, juicy information for people to manage November. And we're going into a time when the astrology is sort of up and down, so you want to prevent making it worse, right? You want to think of it as this is a time when emotionally it's not as forthcoming as October was. And so you need to guard yourself from feeling negativity from that, right? So, okay, so here is Taurus's message. We have the Four of Trees, Four of Pentacles, and then we have the Moon. So somebody, this is a dynamic that involves somebody's not giving money, King of Pentacles. There's a push and pull between somebody's not giving money, sharing money. There's darker feelings about that. So this could involve, like, for example, a couple, and you've been very generous and you feel as though there's maybe not intentional games, but there's some kind of energy that doesn't want to like give over fair back. And I think that you're getting tense about this and you're feeling nervous. I think you need to be very careful to react in November. No react November. They have like no shave November, no react November for all of us. So under this energy, I think it's really helpful to you maybe and when you're maybe feeling this, like about your partner, that they're not stepping up to the plate. This feeling is contextualized in real world events that happen that make you feel that way. So I don't think it's just you making it up. I think there's things happening that are justly causing you to feel frustration. And there's things at work, especially at the end of the month, that are going to make you feel like you're sacrificing so much at work that now that you're putting so much effort towards things at work that now your effort, it's like, I'm putting so much effort into work, I'm committing myself, so much of my time is being eat up at work, then why is this person who's supposed to be my partner, who's supposed to be my 50-50, who's supposed to be complimentary to me, is taking it easy or not taking things as seriously as I am? This is justified, but it's also very important that you don't act on those feelings right now, these frustrations, and they will build to the end of November. And I think that you will do things against your best interest if you act on them. Later on, you can talk about them, but I think right now it's likely that you feel some kind of frustration. Ultimately, something really good for you is happening financially, Taurus. And I think that there's like a strong buildup of a financial outcome. I think part of your frustration is that financial outcomes are currently underway. And so you're getting irritable with the fact that you haven't achieved the financial goal that you had set out to yet. And so your frustration is amplified and directed at this other person. And maybe their behavior is justified, but still, at the end of the month or at some point, there's a real strong financial outcome. There's strong financial things that are coming your way that are going to make you're frustrated because you're waiting. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if I think I said it clearly, but I think you're frustrated because you're waiting. And I think that you're putting in a lot of work into something. And I think that it's not yielding what you want quite yet. So you're frustrated by somebody being lazy around you and whatever. But I think that it's not to your advantage to draw that situation up or talk about it, because there is something that's very financially salient and your outcome's coming. And when that comes, that frustration's going to go away. or maybe then you can talk about their behavior. It has something to do with habits, like someone, like maybe somebody's not doing the dishes or something like that, you know? So it has something to do with like, I'm so committed to doing things right, and this person around me is not, and it's really frustrating. So I could see you through November, like, it's almost like your head against the wall, because I'm like out here slugging it and you're not. That's that kind of feeling. And it doesn't have to be a partner. It could be a coworker or someone you're around. But it's that feeling of like somebody's not rising to the task and you're frustrated because you're waiting for the financial outcome. And so that situation where that person is not rising to the challenge is extra frustrating. But you will get your financial outcome. That's the point. So it's coming. And then it's going to be less stressful to watch them be lazy or whatever. Here is the next sign. We have Leo. Hey, Leos. Meow, meow. Let's take a look. It's such a drab light right now because of there's like a real thick cloud. We've had a lot of rain for this year. Holy moly. September, it's been so rainy. Wow. So everything's really dark. So rainy BC, coastal BC. Hey, girl, hey. Okay, so let's pick some tarot cards for Leo. So the reason I brought that up is Leo's the sun. So it's not so shiny and bright as you deserve. Okay, so let's see your energy. So we have the Two of Angels, Two of Swords, Moon in Libra. And then we have the Five of Trees, Five of Wands. And then we have the King of Pentacles. Well, you're trying to get a definitive answer from someone and you're being kept in the dark. And literally, it's so funny that I start talking about light as you're reading and then you get this reading. It's, you're being kept in the dark and it's causing you worry and stress because the information that you want to know is not readily available. It's going to come through. King of Pentacles. So you're going to get a definitive answer. You're going to get the answer. It's a good answer, so don't worry. This feels solid. This feels helpful. This feels non-problematic. In this sense, it's almost like you're waiting for an answer on something. There might be some risk involved because Uranus is in the 10th house. So it's almost like you took a risk and that's why you're nervous. And you've been just waiting for an answer to come through. It's going to come through. The other thing that I'm getting for Leo is this 5th house action here with Venus here and Mercury. This could be a temporary back and forth with a love interest. So this could be a temporary time in which you don't know where you stand with someone and you put your heart out there and you're getting a big question mark. They're going to come through. And whenever there's a transit of like Mercury retrograde or Venus retrograde in a 5th or 7th house, something like that, 11th house, when we're really dealing with other people, I think that what happens is that there could be a lot of tentative interaction. Like, you're not getting the full answer or like something's not fully explained, right? And so there could be things up in the air in the 5th house when Mercury's turning retrograde. You should definitely not push for an answer. And this is a person coming forward of their free will, which means that they're going to come to you with the answer. So you can go be merry, be jolly, enjoy the Venus in Sag, which is overwhelmingly a positive aspect to your 1st house. Mars is entering Leo tomorrow, so you have this surge of energy. So don't wait for someone else's answer to come through, right? Don't wait for someone else. It's going to be good. So the situation that I'm seeing for Leo is you're dating someone, you're seeing someone, you like someone a lot. They're not coming through and it's making you nervous that they're not going to come through for you that way. But I think they will. So that's nice. And I think that I'm reading this still when Mars is in Cancer, right at the end of it. But when Mars enters Leo, your energy goes up, magnified. So I'm reading the energy right before Mars enters Leo, and I think that's going to be a big shift for you, a big change. And I think that you should, despite the fact of the things that are going on around you, the changes, it feels like it's a busy time for you socially. A lot of people are around. Despite all that, I think you should really hold your course with certain things, Leo. Like some things that you're doing, you need to very much set yourself on that path. You need to set yourself on that path. You need to hold that course. It's almost like maybe you're not seeing that person. If you're seeing someone, you're not seeing someone for a few days. You should not be sitting there and waiting until you see them. Go live your life. And then it's almost as if you're meeting each other on the same page. And they're almost impressed at how you've had like such a nice few days independently. So there's this really kind of put the effort in on yourself, Leo, and really focus on the direction that you want to go and the things that you want to do and the things you want to see, and invest in that separately, despite the fact that you're really, really waiting for their answer. The other thing, and we'll talk about this more when Pluto enters Aquarius. When Pluto enters Aquarius, you're in a dynamic where, especially at the beginning, you really want to watch yourself from coming into energies in a way that you're subordinate. Okay, so don't come in weak into relationships now. Don't shortchange yourself in terms of the decisions. Don't like overlook things with potential partners. This is Pluto in your 7th house can be a long-term consequence. So you need to make sure that you're minding your boundaries and that you're not giving up on yourself in relationships. Because when Pluto enters Aquarius, it is going to very much set a precedent. And I read for a lot of people, and the stories I hear over and over again, it sets a precedent. And a lot of times for people in the first part of that transit in the 7th house, the ball gets rolling and then they can't really stop it. So people get pushed into making quick decisions about love life and, partners and stuff. And then they live with the consequences for a long time. And this is a 20-year transit. So if you're be as selective as possible. That doesn't mean bad things are happening. Wonderful things. Like speaking of relationship planets, Pluto in the 7th house is great. But don't shortchange. You should be extremely demanding right now, Leo, and make sure that healthfully demanding, right? Make sure that you set up the circumstances for yourself in a very good way. So we have 2 more signs to go. So we have Virgo next. Hey Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see how this adds up for you. Let's take a look at your tarot cards. Let me know in the comments. This is just for people who are watching. Would you tell me in the comments if you prefer the tarot cards first or the astrology first? As a viewer, what do you prefer? I'm kind of thinking one of the things with this comment issue, I talked about it at the beginning, that comments, how do I say this? It's weird to comment a lot when you're an adult, but I think it's helpful and it's necessary for video. So I want you guys to comment. So would it make people feel more comfortable if I ask questions that we can talk about in the comments, such as, what do you prefer? Would you like me to ask you guys questions that you can then answer as a exercise? Would that help you guys feel more comfortable commenting? Because those of you who want to comment a lot, don't comment if you don't want to, but in order to would you guys like me to stir up conversation, and would you guys want to play along with me that way? Because we can try that. If you do, you can tell me in the comments how you feel. Like, do you think tarot should go first, or do you think astrology? How is it watching? See, it's getting bright again. Very dark cloud. So we have 7 of stars, 7 of wands. This isn't bad, right? It's a little bit blown out. We have the 10 of cups. I'm not going to bother changing it again because it's real thick cloud. So in a second, it's going to get dark again. And then we have the 3 of pentacles. Well, Virgos. Oh, I was like on Leo again. Hey, Virgos. Did you guys see I went into my planning conversation just as I started Virgo. How do we do this, guys? Are we going to talk about this or that? Okay, so 7 of wands, 10 of cups, 3 of pentacles. I do feel as though, like, hold your course, Virgo. You have this wonderful transit of Jupiter right in your 10th house. This is very good for career. It's a lot of fulfillment. I do feel as though this is like dig in your heels, Virgo. Like, dig in your heels and do the things that you want to do. The card is called dedication, and I would say that's your energy right now. I do feel like standing in your truth is leading to emotional fulfillment. So when you stand in your truth, it triggers other people around you, and there's this camaraderie that builds around you as you are doing something, maybe at work or at the office. You're on a project that you really like, and your whole team is just congruently in agreement. It's just a really good energy here. Okay. And then this leads to, so whatever you're doing, apply yourself intensely now, Virgo. November is kind of like a hermit month for everyone. That's what I've been trying to say today. So Virgo is the hermit in the tarot, which is like our natural ability. So we're like fish in water here. Okay, so Venus is in the 4th house. Mercury, there's so how do I say this? All distractions aside, hold your course. I see you sort of pushing away all the clutter and holding your course and achieving a lot. So this is nose to the grindstone, and this is really digging in your heels. Be very wary of recklessness financially now. So don't be reckless financially, not because you're under some threat. I do sense that you may make some bad decisions if you're not careful. So I think that you should just really don't be reckless. Don't overspend. Don't compensate. I think you need, what I see for Virgo is a single track mind here, where you tune out things around you and you really follow a certain direction, particularly with work, particularly with what you're doing. I do think that things around the house improve. And I think from November 26th to December 15th, there's going to be some clarification with regard to some issues. So clarity is coming in, miscommunications are clarified. And so if I sense as though there's little things around Virgo that are distractions, but the 7 of Wands is like really standing in your energy. Is 7 of Wands Mars in Leo? It could be. I think it is. I think 7 of Wands is Mars in Leo. And it's really getting at the heart of it. So Virgo digs in their heels and does. The other card that I'm seeing, the other thing that I'm noticing about this chart is Saturn in the 7th house. You may experience tension with your partner at the beginning of this. Even October 28th that has passed. You may have been experiencing pressure or tension with your partner that leads you to be more by yourself. So you just lay off of each other and not talk to each other and just do your own thing, right? And so that allowed you to focus on you more, and that allows you to push forward better. Ironically, a favorable dynamic between your partner, something possibly romantic, happens in the 3rd week. and they sort of come in and boost you. So that it's almost like they left your life in not in a physical way, but like in an emotional way. This gave you room to breathe and be on your own and get in touch with certain things that are priorities. And then at the third week of the month, they show back in and they almost provide you some kind of support. They buoyancy, they provide you that structure. So they come right back in with a supportive energy. Maybe they like what you're doing. Maybe it feels as though Virgo's onto something. Okay. If don't mind if I do, it feels like Virgo's onto something, and it looks as though this is your time to just get down to it. Okay. Congratulations, Virgo. Okay. Then the last sign, last but not least, is my favorite, Pisces. Hey, Pisces. Hey, little fishies. Okay, so let's get weird, guys. I love Pisces last because then we get to not worry about the weirdness overflowing to other signs. Okay, so we have all of this is happening in your 10th house. Okay. So Pisces, I've already said, is under considerable pressure Pisces is under considerable pressure and criticism at this time, and it's starting to get to you, and that may lead you to have certain reactions. Okay, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. It may be irritating for you. I get the sense, and I've been dealing with your energy or like processing this. It's really sometimes, you know, different messages. Sometimes they're very clear. Sometimes they're more passive. I'm getting very clearly that many of you are very irritated with your environment, and it's coming up over and over very clearly, which to me signifies that many of you are extremely irritated with your environment. So we have the Ace of Pentacles. I love these cards for you, though. It just feels like somebody, like, you know, when someone doesn't appreciate you or they're missing the point. And then we have the Tower. The Tower came up so much. Ace of Pentacles with the Tower is a whole new beginning. Okay. And so whenever you get a Tower with an Ace or the Star or the Sun, these are good combinations for the Tower. That means like massive turnaround, unexpected turnaround. Things are going your way, Pisces. So I see a lot of that. I feel many Pisces are irritated. Pisces don't take things laying down. And when I see this Saturn, we're still in the middle degrees. I mean, Saturn's going to turn direct and then exit Pisces sooner or later. But it moves quite fast. It's the end of its second retrograde in Pisces. So even though it's only at the beginning of the second decan, we're actually towards the end of its transit. We're in the middle end transit. And what's funny about this, as I observe it for Pisces, it seems to me that you're done with it. And more so than any other sign, you're like done, over, out of here. I'm not entertaining any more criticism. I could see you guys having this attitude. And it's not necessarily uncalled for. It's not that you're missing a lesson or you're avoiding or something like, well, you're avoiding, but you're avoiding for the purpose of like, you're just like done with it. You're not interested in hearing more. You're not interested in, allowing yourself to be ridiculed by other people. And I get this really strong, and it's funny. It's not ha funny. It's this kind of like, I like that about you. I like the feistiness of Pisces. I love my fiery Pisces. So people who have Pisces and fire sign together, I just love fiery Pisces people. I think you guys have and Pisces on their own, Pisces is not such a laying down energy. And I know that people describe it as like soft, and you are those things, but I just really love the Pisces that's on their game. And that's what I'm seeing here is Pisces on their game and really responding and from a deep place of intolerance to it. It's like, enough is enough. I could see you just saying that, like, enough is enough of this criticism. And it's I'm gonna go for my blessings. I'm gonna go for my opportunities. So the one thing that I'll say about this, remember what I said about anti-Jupiter? Like, I don't want you guys to freak out about anti-Jupiter. This is not like a prevailing energy. Well, it is, but it's everything is worthwhile considering, but it's not suddenly intending to say that something terrible is going to happen. It's just a consideration. The consideration is suggesting that at this time, it may be in your best interest to not rush at opportunity. So let's say that your boss is criticizing and you're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to look for another job. If that's the case, I would advise that you wait until December 15th when Mercury finishes its retrograde cycle. So the combination of the different things that are going on in your 10th house is making me tell you to wait. In general, this message is kind of telling you to wait after this period, and definitely after November. I do believe that under duress or under stress or negative feelings, people make bad decisions. And so I feel like November a lot of people can experience that. And that's why I'm here talking about it, to help you avoid that dynamic. So many people may be feeling like wanting to react, but I think that in many cases it's not advantageous to. And in your case, I feel like you could really want to change certain things, not maybe in your career, but almost like push things out of the way. And so I would advise, I think you'll get a better outcome by sitting back and letting Mercury turn retrograde through your 10th house, and then on December 15th making certain decisions. Remember, for Pisces, we get these eclipses in Pisces, especially in March, that date back to September and March of last year. So there's like a real continuum of energy, and all these retrogrades that happened, the degree at which 25 degrees of Pisces, there was a eclipse on September 18th. And these retrogrades involving the inner planets like Venus, they're going to begin in Aries and carry over into that degree. And there's 4 different planets that end on that degree between February and April. So something in reference to the eclipse is going to come full circle, and 4 planets that are turning retrograde in 2025 will finish on the degree at which that eclipse happened. So symbolically, or it's pointing to the fact that there's something you're in the middle of something full circle. So I'm saying this for the purpose of giving you patience, because if you're trying to make a career change, or if you're trying to make a big decision, you may be tasked with certain degrees of change early on next year, or some things may change in your environment early on next year. So it's advisable that you just wait and see and be very patient with your strategy. That doesn't mean that you should be listening to criticism or putting up with bad stuff, but ultimately I think that patience is a virtue in this case. And don't act too quickly. I do feel as though financial pressures may be pushing you to react. So maybe you feel like the opportunity is there. I got to seize the day, carpe diem. But I do feel as though there could be, I do feel as though if it's motivated too much by fear of failure financially, then it could prompt you to go against your best interest. So there could be more out there that's good for you. So in other words, just wait and see, Pisces. Okay? So you guys, we made it before sunset. We had we have a new member. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay, so this is not going for members, right? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys had fun. Okay. And we'll do a members only all sign, just not today. Maybe next weekend, something like that. We'll fit it in somewhere. I'm glad to be back. If you guys like the short videos, please, 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 please comment and like them. Even you don't suck if you're commenting on tons of my videos. In fact, you're freaking awesome. So please do so. I'm taking lots of time to do them. I like making them. As you can see, we finished today at like 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is, I think that the other videos are a bit long, honestly, don't you? So this makes the video really accessible. The short videos allow us to have more context. I think it works great. If you guys don't like it, then we'll change it around. So don't do it unless you like it. Don't try to make me happy. But if you do like those videos, do please like and comment. We can play word games or figure something out to make it more entertaining. But I appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you guys soon. I hope this wasn't too negative. I hope it's not too negative. It wasn't, right? Like, this is how you win. That's basically avoid November pitfalls and you will win soon. Okay? That's my message. Bye. Have a good one. And welcome to the new member. I can't see who you are.